Engine 1 from car 1. Car 1's on scene. If they've been command, give me a CAN report.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein. Stickers of the C.A.N report. Nozzle Tov, everybody. I have a good friend of mine joining the show. I have Tevin Sims from Georgia. I am pumped to have him. We're going to have a lot of great information about training. We're going to have a lot of information about conferences, leading from the front, leading from the back, sideways, you name it. We're going to be talking about a lot of good stuff. And I'm just really pumped to have you on, Tevin. And thank you so much for being on this show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my friend. Before we start going on this, I'd love to give a shout out to my sponsors, Engine House Designs and the Kitchen Table Foundation. Engine House Designs, working firefighter out of Memphis, Tennessee. He makes hats. He makes flags. He makes coats. He does them for your union shop. He can do them for your business. He can do them for your fire departments. You name it, he can do it. He's also partnered up with the Kitchen Table Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization helping firefighters, first responders, military, to help get resources that we need to make ourselves better, to make ourselves ready for our family, not just for the drill yard or the fire grounds, but also for us at home. So if you're struggling, if you need help, the Kitchen Table Foundation is doing great things for us. They're based in Arkansas. They've actually just picked up a great sponsor themselves with the Coors Banquet. So people who purchase a Coors Banquet, actually money gets donated from those sales to help the Kitchen Table Foundation because it is a nonprofit. And the Firehouse Designs is actually making their products for them. So their shirts, their jackets, their flags for the Kitchen Table Foundation is also made by the Engine House Designs. So with that being said, we're going to get into this. So Tevin Sims from Georgia, I'm excited to have you, my friend. And before we get into this now with you talking, I'm going to get into your bio. So let's get into your bio real quick here. Tevin Sims serves as the Division Chief of Training and Community Risk Reduction for Douglas County Fire and EMS, bringing over 14 years of progressive experience in fire suppression, emergency medical services, and training leadership. He oversees department-wide training, credentialing, and community risk reduction initiatives with a focus on enhancing operational readiness, firefighter safety, and organizational performance. Chief Sims is recognized for developing high-performance training programs and fostering a culture of accountability, mentorship, and continuous improvement. He holds an Associate of Science in Fire Science and is completing a Bachelor of Science in Fire Administration at Columbia Southern University. His credentials include Fire Officer 1 through 4, Fire Instructor 1 and 2, Live Fire Instructor in Charge, and multiple Advanced Technical Rescue certifications. He is also a graduate of the Axioms of Leadership, Truckman's Academy, and the North Carolina Breathing Equipment School, and remains actively engaged as an adjunct instructor supporting fire service education and development. Outside of his professional career, Tevin Sims is a dedicated family man. He and his wife, Erica, are proud parents to 4 children, Axton, Maisie Rochelle, and Bane, and he values the role his family plays in supporting his continued service and leadership. Love it, dude. With that being said, man, thank you. Thank you for being on the show. Let's get this going.
Let's get it going. Let's get it going.
All right. So you and I met at Bears of the Oath.
Yep.
And man, we hit it right off. It was actually really cool. And now that I'm just talking about it, that's why I love the Bears of the Oath. That's why I love these things, man, is that you meet such cool ass people. And as soon as I met you, we just started talking and we just became quick friends. It's the same thing like with Chad, Chris, with Jared Robinson, with the Nelms brothers. Like as soon as I met all you guys, man, I felt like we've been friends for years.
Yeah. It the one thing that, like, I think the last time you and I talked, we talked about, the group of people that you were surrounded by with Bears of the Oath. It's guys that are, into the job. Like they truly love what we do, what this job embodies. And even on the side of brotherhood and sisterhood, like they truly embody that. Like there's not a single person in that group or in this group that I could probably not call today and say, hey, I need something, like, and they would probably be Johnny on the spot and figure out how to get me what I needed. I'd say that, and a lot of people take that for granted, but like just this past week, I needed a piece of equipment because we're getting ready to do some acquired structure training next Monday. And I've been looking for a certain type of hook. So I called Cody Patterson and I said, "Hey man, I really need this." And it was one of those things. He was like, "Okay, let me figure out what I can do." And literally he found it for me and, got it to me, and I got it like 2 days later. So it's just that connection of people who are always there. And the overall goal of everybody in this training organization is to push forward progressive training in the fire service, not just in any certain region, but in the overall fire service. At the end of the day, we are all here to leave it better than we found it. Like the founding fathers before us, that were in the fire service, they had their things that they left a mark on. So now it's time for us to bring, things that are relevant back,
Yeah.
or to make sure that we're looking out for that next generation. That's huge to me. Is making sure the next generation has, the necessary tools and knowledge that's needed to progress this profession forward. Because in my opinion, some things have been lost with the fire service. And I think now the culture itself is on fire with the amount of training that's going on. Like I can literally pull up something on Facebook or on Instagram every week or every weekend. Somebody's hosting some kind of training event, and it literally makes me on fire to know that I am in this profession every single day. So that's my little tidbit right there. When you talk about Bears of the Oath, it's this group, in a certain sense, there was a certain passion that I almost felt like I lost, because I was in a time in my career to where I was like, I just wasn't feeling it anymore. Like I was there. I was actually on my way out. And I tell this story. I don't tell this story a lot, but I was on my way out of the fire service because I just was at that point where I was like, I'm burnt out. Like there's nothing left. Things weren't going the way that I wanted them to go. And I just was ready to say, you know what? I've had fun. Like I've always worked 2 jobs for 10 years of my career. Like I've always had 2 jobs. So I was just at that point. I was ready to leave. And then I got offered the opportunity to go to training. And my first, inkling was like, absolutely not. You couldn't pay me to deal with that mess that we had going on. Like it was just, I just felt like I knew where we were at, internally. Like I knew where the department was and what I wanted to see change, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to be the person to aid or assist in making the changes that were needed. And it just, I came home and I talked to my wife about it, and she said, well, it's either that or you go do the other thing that you wanted to do, which she said, I have a feeling you'll be there for 6 months and then you'll be bored and you'll be ready to go back to the fire service. She said, so I support you either way, whether you choose to do that or you choose to go down the other path. But we support you as a family. We're going to support you no matter what. So it was huge to have that support. But then when I made the decision, it was like, all right, this is going to be a ride. I know it's going to be a ride. I prayed to the good Lord and I said, you know what? If this is what it's supposed to be, if this is meant to be, then we're gonna get through the tough times and we're gonna see the other side and see some positive change.
What was the other thing? You said that it was going to be this other complete different field. What was that going to be?
So I was looking at going to Georgia Power, which is the Southern company. And they have it was like it's a safety consultant. So you would be doing confined space standbys, you would be overseeing their safety for a plant. So I was literally going to be doing some of the technical rescue side of things, but for a big, like the Southern company. And it sounded great, on paper. It was like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, but then what really got me was when I drove for the interview, and it was like an hour and a half drive.
Mm-hmm.
It was right past our state fire academy. It was in, I think it was Lula, Georgia, if I remember the name correctly. And I drove there, and I was like, this is gonna suck. Like in my head, I'm thinking like, this is not gonna be fun. So I got done with the interview. I felt like I did great, and it was just one of those things. It was just like, God, if this isn't for me, like just don't let it happen, And literally, my boss now, she had called me about something else that was related to training. And I didn't really, I think I mentioned to her that I was looking to get out. But it was just one of those like mentions, like I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then she said, you should consider maybe looking at coming to training. And I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm done. Like, I was there. As a department, we've had some rough years. We had some administration changes that were tough on a lot of our folks, and we lost a lot of good people because of it. But there's the ones who stayed, the ones that really were indebted to the department, that really wanted to see things change, they stayed. And I thought about that too. I was like, if I truly have an opportunity to make things better, right? If I truly have an opportunity to push the department forward in a different direction, this is where I make my mark.
Mm-hmm.
So do you run away from the fact of things aren't going the way you want them to? You're down in your luck. You feel like you're at the end of it, right? You're just done. And you just walk away, and then you at the end of the day you've let yourself down, because if you had the opportunity to make changes and you didn't make those changes, you just decided to leave. That's what really weighed in the back of my mind, is like, I have an opportunity. Is it scary? Absolutely. Like I was scared to death, because I knew for a fact that there was a lot of things that, you know, I knew about training. Like, I had been dealing with training for multiple years. Like, I've taught at MAFC. I've led classes in the department, so it was like, I can deal with the training side of things, but what about the things that I'm unfamiliar with? Like
Mm-hmm.
the scarcity of, like, when you have to make sure that state hours are entered for your personnel. And right now we got 200 something personnel. Like, so for me, that was scary, because it was like, if you mess that up, you're screwing up folks' certification. Like, it's on you. Like, your name goes on the piece of paper. So, like, it truly is one of those things. It's like, man, I'm not sure, but it's gonna work itself out, hopefully, right? Like, I prayed every single day. Like, it was one of those, like, I woke up and I said, you know, let me get through today. If
Yeah.
I can get through today, I'll get through another day, and I'll figure one more thing out. And literally, it took me about 6 months to where I was literally comfortable with, and I wouldn't even say comfortable. I just felt like I was getting a grasp of what I needed to do overseeing training as a captain. And then literally, I was a captain, but I had, my bosses gave me full reign to kind of do what needed to be done in that role. And I was very privileged. And at the same time, I was very, um, honored to know that they trusted me enough to say, "Hey, we're going to let you figure this out. We're going to give you full reins. This is yours. You figure it out and make it happen. We'll give you the tools necessary. We'll give you the support and the trust, but make it happen." And
So
that was huge.
what what were the things that you needed to change? So like, because you kind of came in and you revamped everything. So what were some things that you saw, or a lot of things that you saw, that needed to be changed, and how did you raise that standard?
So for us, like, we're a fire department. We're an EMS based department we're a fire department with EMS, right? And I don't know how else to really say that.
Oh, I get you. I know where you're going with it.
But for a long time, it was just like, hey, we're going to do the bare minimum. And I hate to say the bare minimum, but what's the standard that we're looking at? What do we gauge this off of? So I feel like our standard, and literally, you could ask anybody that has been in the department, like the fire side, it was just like, it's there, right? We got fire trucks, we got folks that ride on the fire trucks, on the big red trucks, and most of the time, with having EMS within your fire department, like, a lot of times that is what people look at as a break when they're not on the med unit, right? And that was a culture that needed to be changed, because it's like, at the end of the day, we're a fire department, right? Yes, we service the county, and we are an EMS service for the county, but being dual role, like, people need to be proficient at both parts of the job. and everybody can't be a rock star. That's one thing that I've learned. Is everybody's not going to be like this rock star in the fire service, and they're not going to, do everything the way that I would do it, or somebody else in my staff would do it, like as far as a training division. But the standard that we hold, if you can get, folks to that, at least to what you think the minimum standard is, like, and I hate using the word minimum, because for this profession, there's really no minimum. There's only maximum in my eyes, because when you are getting paid to protect citizens, when you are getting paid to put your life on the line every single shift, we don't know what call is going to come out, from 2 hours from now.
Mm-hmm.
But to make sure that our folks are prepared for whatever situation happens was my goal. That was what I wanted for the department.
So what you're saying is, it was more heavily EMS focused, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were having, because you're not obviously not the only department or county in the United States that is having that same issue.
Absolutely.
And I've seen it myself, and I feel like the suppression side has taken a back seat because EMS is the moneymaker, right?
Right. They bring in the bread, pretty much.
Right. They're bringing the bread, and we all understand that's necessary evil, if you will. I'm not saying that EMS is evil, but it's just that's what needs to happen to keep the doors open and to keep the staffing up. We do need EMS, and I've seen that level of that standard you're saying drop a bit. That, as we have progressed more into the EMS roles, the training side of it for fire service side has sloped down. It's the downward trend that we don't want. And then you see it's you're getting sloppy, you're not really paying attention to what you're doing for the actual fire side. It's like, hurry up and get it done, because we got to do an EMS call. It's it's that quick repetition, get back on the truck, because now we got to go do another medical call. And so I take it for your academy side of things, that's what you were seeing. It was getting that heavy focus on that. And from what I've seen now, when I was at Bears of the Oath and you had your cadets there, and I got to watch them before we started the event, those crews were working hard. The students were engaged. They were excited to do fire stuff. You just tell they're hungry. And the reason why I wanted you on as well is because your team is really an incredible team, and you have this powerhouse team. You've got yourself, you've got Captain Chris, you've got Captain Painter, you've got Zach Flowers, you have I feel like I'm missing somebody else.
That's the core group, honestly.
Core
like
group.
so
Okay, good.
I've got one other guy, Lieutenant Lover, and Adam. He's kind of the backbone of the some of the paperwork things, because our situation is kind of an oddity, right? Like my training division is like, I don't have everybody in my training division is not full time. Like
Right.
they're part-time staff. So Flowers and I are the only ones that are there consecutively every single day. But you talk about Chad, you talk about Painter, you talk about Adam Lover, and like those guys, they are the backbone of when we need things done, or we have a lot of heavy lifts. Like it's important for me to have them. Like I wish that I could have those guys every single day, like Monday through Friday. Like I wish I could have them every single day. And just unfortunately, like I will probably never have the cadre that I have right now. I'll probably never have that again in like 5 years. Like I say that, like, and who knows what happens in 5 years? I may not even be overtraining in 5 years. It may be somebody else. But the powerhouse that I feel like we do have, I mean, it's incredible. It's very incredible to have the people we have.
It's cool to see, because they ignite each other. You guys feed off each other very, very well.
Oh yeah.
And then, I mean, you guys are always burning. Every time I see videos, every time I'm down there, you guys always got good fires going on at the building. But also you guys are feeding off each other, but then the students are feeding off you guys as well. And you guys train them hard. And but I can see the love and respect that they have for you. Cause like, that's what I know is like, they all had nicknames for you, right? They were calling you guys coach
Yeah.
and, you know, and dad and uncle.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see that environment where they respected you guys so much because you're giving them not only the skills and education, but you're giving them that love and that passion. And I see them pushing hard. So when we got to do our evolutions on the drill yard and I'm watching your students go to work, and I mean, they just couldn't get enough. They wanted to make you guys proud. So they were going hard. And you know, there was never a stop with them.
Yep.
And I could see you guys beaming, and I could see you guys just so full of pride because they're killing each evolution. And so that comes with what you built, right? So you knew they were lacking in these skills. You knew that it was not as dedicated in that training as it should be. So what are some things that you saw? Like, what are some skill stations that you decided to really push and really drive home with the academy and your students?
So for us, like the search culture, like for me, I'm really big on search, and I felt like as a department, like we were lacking, whether it's field operations or in the recruit academy. Like I felt like that we needed to really make sure or harp or hone in on the fact that what is the search, what is our search culture? Where do we derive at when we talk about a search culture? Um, and you know, the fact that what are we here for? Like we're, you know, yes, we're here to put out fires and run EMS calls, but literally what is our state, what do we have to do? Life safety, property conservation, and incident stabilization, right? So that's the threes, right? And however you want to look at it, life safety is the most important to me. When we talk about life safety, I think of victims. Like that's on the forefront for me, no matter what. Like you can look at whatever algorithm you want to, RECOV, whatever, all that. You can look at all that. At the end of the day, the reason that we exist, the reason that fire departments exist right now in the nation is because we are here to protect life, right? So for me, I wanted to make sure that our culture, our fire department culture embodied that. Like our folks understand why we are here. You know, what does it take to get that life out? What are the necessary measures that we have to take? One, you know, you want to make sure your folks are smart. They make aggressive, smart, tactical decisions that make sense. Um, you know, I say that to because we've seen a change as an administration. Like we've seen a huge change in our search culture, with the way folks are searching, with the effectiveness of the searches that we see. And it's almost one of those things. Like I don't want to say the word like embarrassing, but I think it's the ugly truth,
Mm.
because a lot of folks aren't going to tell the truth about the vision or the thought process of their fire department. Like that's just reality. Like, but when you can sit down with, you know, a group of people, you know, your administration, and we can have hard conversations, because a lot of the time that's what it is. Like people just don't want to have hard conversations about where we're truly at. It's like we want to put a band-aid on things or make sure that things appear one way, um, versus what they really are. And I've seen our department change when it comes to search culture in general tremendously in over 2 years. And some of this push is started well before I went into training, but it derived from a group of us who were pushing the same factors. Like we wanted to see these things change in our department. Like, you know, Chief Major, you've talked to Travis, I'm sure, quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, when I was a driver and when I was a lieutenant, like we've had conversations about where our department should go, or the things that we want to see change. And it's people like that that really push the forefront in a department to where, you know, things need to be changed. And sometimes it's folks having hard conversations. And that's where I feel like a lot of organizations suffer, um, because we don't want to really talk about what needs to happen. Like we want to sugarcoat things, and sugarcoating doesn't get us anywhere. So search culture was one. Um, Another one was truck company operations. Like we're hitting that big, and, you know, really big for the next couple of years. Like what we did the first year when when Lieutenant Flowers and I came to training is I sat down and I looked at, deficiencies across the department, things that I saw when I was in field operations, things that I had talked to other folks about on other shifts, like, because before I was in training, I was what they consider an FTO. So I was a shift FTO for my entire shift. And at the time we only had one. So I covered the whole entire county as an FTO. And I would literally go around and deliver training or assist with delivering training for the training division because the staffing, again, wasn't where it should be. So this was another one of those like, hey, can you guys help deliver things to field operations? Because we don't have the bandwidth. So from that, there were things that I discovered from that. And even from, before I came to training, like it was search, it was water supply operations, it was, nozzle control, hose advancement, like the basics, like forcible entry, like throwing ladders, the things that literally are basic things. But everybody always talks about the advanced stuff, like what's advanced about our job. And I always say this, I say this to our recruit schools, I say this whenever we conduct field training, is the basics is what gets the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can sit here and go over all this advanced stuff. I can show you how to, do X, Y, Z, but when we go to a fire, what are the things that have to be done? Like for you, like if you went to a fire today, what are the things that have to be done immediately when you arrive on scene
Wait,
to
right,
make things happen?
right.
Right. So it's forcible entry, getting water on the fire, and then doing a primary search,
Yeah.
and getting that 360 and making things happen. And I think I felt like we were missing those things because I had been on scenes and I knew we were missing the little things that we needed to perfect things. So that was where my focus was. It was like, all right, how do I get realistic training other than just having checkbox training to where we go on Vector Solutions or a training platform and we say, hey, we're going to assign you a class today on Vector Solutions and this is your training for the month. Like I've never been a proponent of that because I don't feel like you truly get anything out of that. Like, yes, you get your hours, you get your state required hours, right? You get your ISO hours, but outside of that, what are you getting?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, where's the repetition? Where's that repetition? Where's that prime recognition decision making that you get from doing those skills over and over and over again? And if you're not making that happen, then what's the point? Like
You're
training
taking
is,
you're taking a hesitation out of them too, and that's what's so cool is that from your training, from what I watch you guys do these things, you obviously it's the crawl, walk, run method. You guys are really good at that, of explaining the why and breaking it down and really helping them understand those basics that we just talked about. But what I also noticed too is that you've taken the guessing game out of it. You've taken the being reluctant of actually moving with a purpose out of it. So when you guys ring that bell and it's time to go to work, you guys go to work, and whether it's in the drill yard or in the fire ground, I see it's actual movement with a purpose, and it's if there's victims or if there's search to be done, it's getting done without asking for permission or looking around and saying, should I or shouldn't I? And you're teaching them that, like, no, I need you to go do this because there's people that are depending on us, whether we know there's victims or not, and you need to get that job done. And I know that there was a job recently with a rescue in your area that made a lot of kind of national attention, right? Where I forgot what department it was.
it was Paulding County.
Paulding County, thank you.
Mhm.
And that was a great video. It had been shared all over social media, and you guys were praising them. I think some of them were your students or had been your students in the past, and you guys obviously knew who they were. And it was an awesome thing to see from air brake to door. They were dialed in. There was no sense there was no chaos. There was no screaming. They knew exactly what to do. I love the fact that the officer in that unit, he sounded pretty young too, but
Yeah,
was he young? Is he, because he seemed young.
he is, and it's funny because we all derive from the same department. Like coming up, we all have derived from the same department. Like that is because I remember when he started at Haralson County, I actually taught him how to drive. I was teaching him how to drive. I worked on getting his task book stuff done when he was a firefighter. Like, so to see him grow now, like, and it literally derives from there's a group of people that, like, you coincide with for years in your career, like that, just your mentors, like even Jason Painter. Um, it's funny now, like, because we talk about this all the time. Like, he works for me at Douglas, but when I started, he was my mentor, so even with me kind of overseeing what he does now, like at Douglas, like there's still a level of respect because the mentality, some of my mentality comes from or derives from things that were instilled in me by folks like himself when we were at Haralson County back in the day, or just hanging around him at Bremen, just getting together and being around like-minded folks. So to see somebody like Caleb, who's a company officer now, like make an impact the way he does at his department, I mean, is huge. Like
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in probably years, but he's probably going to text me if he sees this and say like, dude, really? Like, but it's one of those things. I'm truly proud of them. And we, like, it's funny too that Douglas County and Paulding, we butt up to each other. So to know that if we had an incident and that you had folks from Baldwin County coming, like that's going to be the kind of mentality that you're going to have,
I
because
mean,
they're doing the same thing. Like for me, I live in Paulding County, so to know that I have folks like that are like minded, that are ready to get after it. Like if my family, is in need, like that's huge for me. To
yeah,
know that
it was
I
impressive, dude. It really
yeah,
was, and I just there was like nothing bad to say what they did. I love that he grabbed that homeowner and said, "Come with me. I
yeah,
need you to guide me." Like, no, come with me. Don't walk away. Like he was, and I loved how he did it. It was a sense of urgency with him, but he wasn't a dick about it either.
right,
And he got direction from her. Where was this? Where did you see this person? And it was a big person. They had to move, and they worked really well in that building together to move him out. And also what I loved, the big takeaway for me though too, is that he so like we still got to put the fire out. That was one of my biggest takeaways from that. As he's moving this victim out of the window with his partner, he's got other people coming up. And he's like, "Get that hose. We got to put the fire out." Like they knew they still have that's the job. Like we still have that important thing. Put the
yeah.
fire out. And unfortunately, the outcome for that victim was not successful. He did pass, but the job still got done. They still got him out of that building. They still put the fire out. But the way they went through all those steps shows that this was training, this was preparation. And that comes from what you guys are doing. And that's what I love to see when I go down to Georgia and you guys are training over there. You guys are always moving with that purpose. And you guys are introducing them to heat and to stress levels. It's not just the motions. You guys are going through those stress levels. So you guys do a training in May, and it's a 24-hour event. So can you describe that for me?
Man, the first time we did it, it was one of those things, like we were sitting there and we were like, Lieutenant Flowers and I, we were talking about, we're going to, this is going to be the best class we've ever had. Like, that was our mission, was to put out like this phenomenal class. Like we wanted them to be prepared. Like when they come out, like we want there to be no question if those people know how to do their job. And I was like, what's a really good way to test them, like at the end? And I don't know where. I think I might have seen it somewhere else that somebody was like doing a 24-hour day. I don't know exactly what they were doing. I just saw the fact that they do like a 24-hour day with a recruit school. And I was like, that's a really good idea. I think I'm gonna kind of steal that, to see how that works. And so we started planning it out. We were like, all right, how's this gonna go? Like, and they'll probably tell you I'm big on doing an IAP for everything, because I feel like that's probably that part of me, the whole like, hey, if something happens, like I want to make sure I have my ducks in a row, because
Yeah.
I do know that we are, when you say pushing the envelope, like we do burn a lot, but I want to make sure that when we cover ourselves, and that we have all the safety measures in place that we need to make these things happen, because we try to give them the most realistic situations or scenarios as possible. But you also, from the training side, like, and I hate the whole like safety thing, but when you're talking about folks who are just now learning and they know just enough to get themselves killed, you
Yeah.
do have to make sure you have safety measures in place. With as much as we are doing and as much as we are pushing them, you want to make sure that they have the things in place to make sure that they are safe on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I love that you
So,
hit on that because that is like, it's super important because they literally are learning
right.
and you're stressing them out because now you're doing a 24-hour event and with live fire, and they haven't done any of that in the real world yet. So that's got to be kind of a pucker factor for you of
Oh yeah.
introducing that and making
Yeah.
sure because now they're right. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You already had them do a bunch of calls and do more calls, and man, if a cadet gets hurt, man, that's like. Of course, it just makes the news. Why were they doing this then? And why were they
Yeah.
doing that? And then,
Yeah.
yeah, so I can only imagine what you have to go through for the red tape and the safety factors of everything because I love that you bring up safety because it's obviously very important that we have these safety features in place because that way we can continue to do this and still have fun and that way we don't have to worry about the bad things happening and looking like assholes on national TV.
On national TV, you're like, who are these yahoos who like thought this was a great idea? Because, you know, there's always the good idea fairy, and then there's always the naysayers on the Facebook and the Facebook warriors that always have their opinions on what you should or shouldn't do. And that's great. But for me, like for them to go out, you know, you've been in recruit school for 8 months, right? And you've been talking about, on the EMS side, they go from EMT to firefighter 1, 2, and then what we call our advanced school, which is teaching them street tactics, pretty much how things are done in the real world. Like, yes, we've went through ISTA. We know ISTA is a flawed book because there are things it's actually now starting to some of the stuff is starting to align with the culture, so to
Mhm.
speak. Um, but when you look at, you know, being in school for that long, like we've taught them a lot, like from day one, like, what the job is about. Like and you hear it, like we hear it all the time, like, what is this job about?
Yeah.
Or on the EMS side, your vital signs, your BLS, like, all those things like we discuss. And then on the fire side, we talk about forcible entry, RIT, VEIS, like we want to put all that into one day to where this is like it's almost like a check off for us to make sure that when we send them out into the wild, as I like to call it, that they are good to go. Like I feel confident that they are good to go. And then
Mm.
it's also the fact of um them getting to spend time with their cohorts like one last time, having a good time, like it's an all out, like let's just make things happen. Let's have a good time. We're done with the the instructor student type thing. Like, we're family now. We're gonna send you out with a bang. Like this is the end and let's have some fun, right?
Well, what are you guys doing for that 24 hours?
So we start off with like a morning, shift check. Like, you may check the apparatus or you may, do some cleaning around the station, which, they'll clean up the complex area, the area around it, the classrooms, they'll clean up everything. And then we'll just kind of start, prepping. Like we may do breakfast, and we got 20 something people right now. So it's a huge ordeal.
Mm.
We'll do that, and then we'll start banging out calls throughout the day. Like it may be, a medical call here, and then we may do a car fire here, and then we may do, we'll do a RIT scenario. Like we'll do um, multiple fire sets. Like I think last year we did maybe 10 or 12 fire sets within that 24 hours. Like, and that was just fire sets, whether it be maybe a car fire, we did an extrication with entrapment. Like we did the whole gamut. Like it's the thought process is, and it's gonna it evolves. Like it'll evolve into something this year because probably like something will come up that we didn't think about last year. Um, is to give them like this shift that is like awful. Like, you know what I mean? Like just something that is just like, what is this? Like this is, it's I would say it's not realistic, but when I look back on some of the shifts I've had at Douglas County, it's very realistic. Like, because you may be on a med call, and then you may get a cardiac arrest, and then you may be on an entrapment, and then you may have a fire that night, and you're
Yeah.
up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We've had like our county is it's kind of like to me, I always say it's like people don't really know how busy we are until you hang out around Douglas County, and then you find out how busy we are. Like we stay pretty busy, like especially some of our busier companies. I mean, they are running calls constantly. Like we have fires on a regular basis. Like, and I think to me, it seems like it's been more of an uptick. Like, I don't know if it's just, you know, it just seems like right now we're on this uptick, but the that was the consensus behind the 24-hour day was for them to have a shift because, between all of us, like we've all talked about these shifts to where we've had these crazy shifts to where like you've had X, Y, and Z going on, like, or you've had an entrapment and then you've had a fire, like, and you've had a bunch of med calls.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like what as a cadre could we come up with to make this fun, but at the same time push the limits, like test them to see how they're going to react under that stress inoculation, that being tired, that okay, like I'm done with this crap. Like, can you guys stop? Like, and you see it, like I mean, about 10 o'clock, it's like, all right, we hate y'all. Like, we love you, but we hate you. So that's pretty much what it is. I mean, and then we do something kind of special for our division. We decided to come up with our own set of core values that we send our classes out with that they should embody once they leave us, because the one thing that we always tell them, like the environment that you have here is not going to be the same environment that you
Mm-hmm.
have when you go to the field. Like, that's reality. Like, no matter what department you're with, folks can say, well, we got this culture, and that's great, it sounds great, but everybody knows that not everybody's going to go to the station with the go-getters and the guys who want to train 24/7. But it's one of those things to where like we instill them with those core values. That's the whole purpose of our program, is to instill them with the core values about accountability, integrity, and making sure that they know that you still have to have that when you walk out of these gates, because there are going to be times to where your accountability is going to be tested, that integrity is going to be tested, and you have to, as a person, you have to ask yourself, what do you want to be like in this career? How do you want to be remembered? What's the mark that you want to make? Like, that's what it's all about, is, when they leave, what mark do you want to make on this department, on the profession? Like, where do you see yourself when you leave in, let's say, 10 years, 15 years, if you decide to leave early, you do 30 years. If it's you that leaves in 30 years, where do you want to be in 30 years? What do you want people to say about you? I say that, like, even as outside of the fire service, like, how do you want to be remembered as a person? Like, do you want people to remember you as somebody who did just the bare minimum, or do you want to be remembered as somebody who was always getting after it? And even if you had struggles or you had downfalls, you figured out how to get up, pick up, and keep moving forward. Because there are times in recruit school that you're going to have those days to where you're like, I'm not feeling it.
Mm.
And that constitutes to life, because there's days I wake up and I'll be honest with you, and I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. Like, today is just not a good day, and that's the other side of the job too, to where like people don't really talk about, is there's going to be days to where you aren't feeling it. But when you aren't feeling it, like, and you have that shift, what are you going to do?
Mm.
Are the citizens going to suffer because of that? Or are you going to put that aside and do the job that needs to be done? Or if you're not able to do that, get the right help that's needed, right? To make sure that you are in a good place, um, to make those conscientious decisions, to make sure you're doing what's needed when you go on shift for 24 hours, because somebody's depending on you no matter what. Somebody's
Yeah.
always depending on you. Grandma sitting in the floor is depending on you. The kid that you see at the grocery store thinks you're the biggest hero of their life, and they're depending on you. So like, and then you relate that to, like, let's say at 2 o'clock in the morning, that same kid's house is on fire. Like, they're depending on you, or that same grandmother's depending on you to come and find them if something happens. Like, That's the mentality that I want our people to have when they come out of recruit school. And the reason why is because I always talk about change agents, right? I can't change a culture of 20 years. I can bring them up to training all day long and say what I want to, but you have those guys that have just been there for 20, 25, 30 years. You can't change that. But what
Mhm.
you can do is instill in the next generation a culture that is so ate up with the same things and the same mindset that it drives the entire department to think that way. That's where we as a training division, like that's what we pride on is I cannot change everybody in one setting. But if I can take a group of 20 kids or 15 kids or 10 folks and say, hey, this is the mindset we should have, right? Go.
Yeah.
And we've seen it. Like we've seen that mindset be instilled in some of these stations with our last recruit school. And it's just it is impeccable to see what it's done to the department. Like sometimes I wake up and I'm, like I just said, I have those days. I'm just like, today's not the day. But
Mhm.
then, when I hear a success story or when I talk to other folks or I talk to the battalion chiefs or I talk to somebody like, and they tell us about some of the things that their people are doing or the fact that they're taking classes consistently, like it, it drives me as a division chief of training to make sure that our folks get every opportunity that they want to have good quality training. Like
How many classes do you do you have?
so last year we're on our second class now. So last year we had one. This will be our second one. We'll start another one in September. So we'll have two classes this year. Um,
How big are your classes?
some of them, this last one started with 30 folks. We're down to 20 something. And that's some people from field operations that didn't have firefighter one and firefighter two. They decided to join this group. But, overall, we had 30 something people when we started this program, and we're down to 20, I think right at maybe 20. Um, sometimes my numbers are like, I'm just like, I don't know. I know we got 20 some people, like, or we're close to that. Like when we get to the end, I'll know exactly how many we have because we tell them, like, even though you're here now, does not mean like you're going to be here even in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Like we're down to the last little bit of recruit school. And, the advanced portion starts at the end of April. So that's when we really get into it. That's when we really have fun. One thing that we've done with our advanced school is like, you hear the same instructors 24/7, right? For
Mhm.
4 months, you've heard the same people run their mouths every day and talk about this and talk about that. But then we have started bringing in outside instructors to lecture for the advanced school because if you hear them, it seems like for me, and I mean I know this, like if you hear the same message from the same person over and over and over again, what do you always think about? Like you're like they say the same thing
Yeah.
24/7. If you have somebody else come in and they have the same message, a different tone and a different outlook, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
like it seems to resonate. And like, this is the part
Well,
of,
it's like kids, like when you try to tell them to not do something, don't touch that, they're not gonna listen to you, but
right.
somebody else comes in and actually says it maybe in a more of a stern voice, they're not gonna touch it. It's amazing how that works, and it's the same thing. You're absolutely right that that message is just perceived completely different when it's somebody from the outside coming in.
Right. Right. I think our mindset, like, cause as a training group, as a division, like we can teach the same thing over and over and over again. Right. But when you have quality people come in and it's like people that, we teach with at Bears or people that are around us that are like-minded, that have that same passion that we have, you know, you want to bring those people in because you want them to see that this is not just some fantasy story tale that like we tell them,
Mm.
you know, that, you should have this passion. We want them to see other people that are at other departments that have this passion because to me, it shows what this profession is about. And all the people that we have show up, like, they're people that I would trust with my life, right? I would. they're people that I would listen to speak on a regular basis because I feel like, you know, they have a lot of knowledge to instill in me. And even as a training chief, like I'm still learning, you
Yeah.
know, I think this is now my 15th year. And even for that, like that's not like that's 15 years, but it's not really a lot of time in my opinion. Like I truly listen to people who have been in this job longer than me. And the one thing that I always say is like they may not be on the same mindset as me, but there's always something to learn from somebody, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. You're going to learn something. Like
Yeah.
you are going to take some piece of information because I can remember when I had bad company officers and I was like, that's the guy I don't want to be. Like that is what I learned from is I don't want to be that guy. So how do I not become that guy as a company officer? Or how do I not become that guy as I progress forward in my career? Like keep that same mentality. Like and make sure that I am progressing with the job and not just being stagnant. Like I am like even now where I sit as overseeing training, I have a very hard problem. And I think my boss could probably tell you this, like with detaching myself from
Hmm.
being out at the training grounds because I feel like you lead by example, right? And if I'm the one that's pushing the change or leading the charge, if I can't do it, then why should I ask somebody else to do it? That's how I think. Like, and you know, I don't know how everybody else feels or what, but that's how I see things on a regular basis. If I'm gonna, you know, if I'm gonna make the recruits run, I'm gonna go run with them if I have the
Yeah.
opportunity. Like, and I can't be out there every day, but when I'm there, I'm gonna make my presence known and I'm gonna show them that, like, hey, I am here to struggle with you. Like I am here to learn with you. And I still continue to grow every day as a firefighter. Like that's first and foremost, it doesn't matter what position you hold. At the end of the day, our title is still firefighter.
Yeah.
Like
I
it
love
just
that too that you said that is that that's such an important thing is that you're in the gear with them or you're doing the workouts with them and that's like I mean painter he you got to pull him out of those burn rooms like he is just in there he'll
that's
eat sleep and poop in there you know like he's always in there and I think that's just so cool you can't get him out of his gear and you can't get him out of those burn rooms he loves to be in it he loves to be training just like you guys are all in your gear and you're embracing the suck with them and
yeah.
that helps to give that buy-in to those students that like because man I used to see it when I was coming up like when I'd have to work hard and sweat my ass off and you got you know an instructor with a big round belly who can't you know put their own gear on or even someone in your own department that all they do is point you know and they're not actually
Yeah.
work with you like that sucks man.
And you know, one thing that we did because you know you always have people that want to come out and help. Like they, oh, I want to be there, I want to be there. Okay, cool. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're gonna yell and scream, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna do the same thing with them. And if you're not gonna do that, then guess what? Go find somewhere to sit down. Like because I don't ever, and I don't believe in this. Like I've never believed in this. Is like if I'm going to tell you to do something, I'm not going to stand over you as an instructor and watch you do something and not do it with you. Because what example am I showing you?
Hmm.
Like what are you benefiting from? And I'm sure that like you know even at my level, like there's times to where I probably should be doing other things. But for me, you know, and my wife could probably attest to this. There's times that I will stay up late at night to get things done that need to be done for the next day to where I can spend that opportunity to show my face and to make sure that I am suffering with with the new firefighters, or with the recruits because they need to see that. Like
Yeah.
they don't need to see, in my opinion, you don't need to see somebody that is overseeing you that talks about the job and you know tells war stories 24/7, but they don't ever see you give that sweat equity. It's just like we just hear about what you do or what you can do. I'm just I've never been a big proponent of that, and it kind of stems back to like me growing up, like you know with my father, like he owned a body shop and we worked together probably the last I think from the time I was 16 till I was 18 we worked together and we sweat that it was that sweat equity like it was grinding every single day like
Mm.
I always watched him grind like even before that, like coming up as a kid, like same thing with my mother. Like my parents were divorced, but I watched them grind to make things happen. So that was kind of that mentality's always been instilled in me from day one. And it's like, even, now my wife and I are the same way. Like we're driven people. Like if we got goals and we got passion to do something, it's going to happen. Like nobody's going to tell us like, hey, it ain't going to happen. Like we're going to make it happen. So
Yeah.
that's a mentality shift or change for me that is something that you have to always make. Like I always want to be that way, no matter what position I hold. Like if I was ever a chief of a department, I still would hope and pray that I still had the ability and capability to do the things that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
That may not be the case, but that's my mindset. And I'm sure that there are other people that don't agree with that mindset, because when you move to the upper positions, there's probably other things that you need to be doing, but it's about how you manage your time when you are in those positions and
Yeah.
how you create the time to take those opportunities to engage with your people.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like even if you go spend 10 minutes at a station, just talking to the crew, or just BSing, like just seeing how they're doing, or like kicking it with the guys just for a little bit, that means a lot. Or like telling people like, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. Like I know that like, hey, you had your own set of things going on. Everybody's got family, they got things that are going on, but you took the time out of your schedule to assist or to help somebody else grow.
Yeah.
Which we have a lot of that right now. Like it's amazing to see the amount of people that have stepped up because they know that like, hey, our staffing isn't what it should be for the things that we're doing, but they don't want to see us fail as a department or even as a division just as much as we don't want to see us fail. Like when you have a good backbone, it is huge.
Yeah.
To know that you have support, and that's why we are successful. There are a lot of people that I could probably name right now that are very instrumental in the success that we have as a training division, and even the forward movement as a department that we have. Some of the things that we're doing, I think that, in my time frame there, I thought I would have never seen some of the things in movement that we've had on certain things. And it's huge. Like we're growing in such a major way that, you know, sometimes it's like, this can't be real. Like, where's the stop button at? Like, where does this end at? Like, where do we stop this process?
Oh, it's
So
so cool to see. I think that's just the trust that you from your passion and seeing where you needed to build things up and the deficiencies that you saw that you're doing it the right way. And that's always as a key thing as well, right? It's like you just don't come in there with a storm and thunder. Like you got to be respectful and understand that there was at one time that was their purpose and gradually bring it in and respectfully and like obviously it's what you did and you came in there smart. You came in already knowing you had your boots on the ground and said, look, we can be better. And we're going to work together to do it. And I'm going to show you how. And they trust you to do it, which is so cool to see that level of trust, especially with you guys doing the 24-hour day with them, because that's a huge amount of trust because I don't know many academies that do that. Like that's to push them to their levels there, their limits and them just not complain. The students love it because when I talked to the students, man, they were all about it. They're just like, this is the best thing yet. You need to come see it. And unfortunately, we were talking. I won't be able to make it for this year, but next year is definitely on the schedule to come see that. I really want to be a part of that and see them because, man, it's so cool to see those students. They're so happy. And it's just, especially for me being out of state, coming from the Northeast, coming down to Georgia and seeing the level of training, but the hospitality of the academy, of you guys, of everybody there, and the students being so welcoming but they're so ready to work. And again, just seeing that level of pride, they love to make sure that they're doing their best to make you guys happy.
yeah, we have that last group was I say this and I I always tell this class, like, yeah, that was the best class I've ever had. Like, that's my first class. So it's like, of course that's my best class, but they truly make me proud. And then to see some of the even like you talk about success stories, like the one in Paulding, we had one probably a couple weeks after some of these guys got out of recruit school, and they pulled somebody out of a house. Like it is just because we told them, we were like, you're literally going to go to shift, and it could happen the very first day.
Yeah.
Like that's reality. Like you could get to shift your very first day, and it could happen. And it literally happened for some of these folks. Like the first few weeks, like they had an incident where they got a grab, and again, it was one of those things like they didn't survive, but they did what was needed. They made the actions, they made the concise decisions to make that happen.
Yeah.
And you talk about somebody so young in their career that happening to, like, that's huge. I mean,
Big time.
because most folks go their whole career and they may not ever have that happen. And that's great. But for that to be something that you've had in your career, and then for you to have just learned how to make that happen, like that's huge.
Yeah.
So that's a testament to them too, and the work and the effort that they put in, and like the trust factor. Like I feel like that, my administration, like they really do trust us. I mean, I call it controlled chaos. Like we don't, at the end of the day, we don't do everything right. We're not, we don't have 20 folks in the training division. We get things done. We make things happen. But we're passionate about what we do, and we truly care for the job. We truly care for the people. I think sometimes that's a fault of ours as a division. Like some of my people, like they go above and beyond 24/7. And I'm just like, dude, like just take a step back. Like you can't say, everything's not one of those things. Like you gotta have a balance. And that's been one thing too that I think we've all had to learn. I know myself and Lieutenant Flowers, with us kind of being the only two that are like they're full time. Like I've had to put some parameters in place for myself. Like, hey, when it's the weekends, like it's family time. Like that phone, like you got to put that guy down, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, this job will still be there. You're going to leave it better than you found it, because you've made that decision. But also those people that are going to be here when you're old and decrepit, like,
Yeah.
you got to make sure that you spend that time with them too. So
Absolutely, man. I love it, dude. I love the message you got, and you absolutely hit the nail on the head with the balance for sure. And man, it's been a great conversation. We got to have more. So, I mean, I can't wait to have you back on again to hit on some more key elements of this. And hopefully, when I can see the class, will be there live and check it out when I get a chance to get down there again, because I want people to see this stuff firsthand, because it is legit. It is awesome. And Chief, I really appreciate you being on the show and spending your evening with me, man. It has been a pleasure.
yeah, absolutely. I always love talking to you, man, even if it's short conversations on the phone, and just small talk or texting back and forth. Like it's awesome to always see you. You always have a smile on your face. So it literally, I tell people all the time, when we go to a conference at Bears, it's like a reunion, legitimately. Like, and if you've been down on your luck, or you've had a rough few weeks, you go to the reunion, you see your guys or you see your people, and it's like, all right, I'm good now. I can go back to the real world. Like,
Well, like
I'm ready to go.
I think it's the first 8 hours is just nothing but hugs.
Yeah, that's it. And then after that, it's like the jokes and the talking and laughing.
Yeah.
So it's always a good time. But again, like it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll see you down at FTIC next week.
Yes, sir. Yes,
We'll be there.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you guys. It's going to be an exciting time, and I also this going to be fun to see you guys in a different environment as well, and see FDIC and see the big show and everything. So I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's great to have you guys in my tribe, and me to be part of your tribe, and to have that friendship and us texting and calling. And again, that's what I preach a lot about, is that when you go to these conferences, you come in as firefighters, but you leave as family. And we're all family, and that's why we're here and talking about this. And as soon as I met you, I'm like, I gotta get Tevin on here, because he's got so much good things to say, and I want the world to hear what you got to say, man. So I appreciate it. I love what you're doing with the Academy. Keep up the great work. And if anyone needs to get a hold of you, is there any way that maybe if someone is curious about the Academy and if they're looking for more information, how can they get a hold of you?
I'll give you my work email. It's tsims@douglascountyga.gov. That's pretty much the easiest way to get a hold of me. Outside of that, it's my cell phone, and I think the email works the best because it actually keeps me accountable. Like I have parameters set to where, like, if somebody sends me an email, I it's something that, like, okay, if it's this, I need to make sure I answer that. So
beautiful.
That's it. That's the way you get a hold of me. Outside of that, so
excellent. All right, man. If you notice, I wore my 575 Fools. I want to represent. So
there it is.
There it is. 575. I got your back right there. So with all that being said, y'all take care, be safe, be well, and here it comes.
Mazel tov.
Awesome, dude. Nailed it.